Hello and welcome to the Reformed Gamers, episode 244, the show where we're just bamboozled by all sorts of games because it's 2023 and it's a crazy year for games. I'm one of your hosts, Logan.
And I am his co-host, Micah.
Micah, I can't... First of all, let me say this, and I say this almost every episode now. I think I'm like a broken record. What a time to be alive. It is a great time to be a gamer, dude.
Games on games on games on games.
Just games on games on games, man. And after, again, I said this when, we were streaming the Summer Game Fest in our Discord server. Shout out to our Discord server. Join it if you are not in there already. I was pretty pleased with the Game Fest. We'll get into this a little bit later, but I was like, man, that's great. But man, there's a lot of games still even coming. And man, it's a great time to be a gamer.
Right. We're in we're in quote unquote E3 season straight up. Yep. Last episode, we covered the PlayStation Showcase, where we're going to be covering Summer Games Fest and all the highlights. I should say. I was about to say in its entirety, but that's not true. We're not doing that. But we're going to talk about Summer Games Fest today. We've got a couple of snippets from some other news pieces that dropped today. We got Xbox Showcase around the corner, Starfield Direct, Capcom Showcase. We're right in the thick of it. So we're getting like dates for games. We're getting new announcements. It's just, this is, obviously this is kind of like our Super Bowl a little bit, even though it's spread out now and it's a little different than usual. It's still fun to be in this summer season.
Absolutely. And I got to say, I got to experience this a little bit last year when I was just starting out being a teacher, kind of going into some of those things. But even this year, I have my summers off and I'm like, man, it's kind of cool to just be able to go mow my yard, come back in, watch this real quick, and then go finish mowing my yard. That sort of thing. It's just, it's kind of nice. Like I kind of dig that, and it's been fun. But oh man. With that being said, though, listeners, I don't want to delay any longer. Let's kind of get into the show here because we've got a lot to unpack this episode. Several things I am super hyped to be talking about. And one of those things that I'm super hyped to be talking about is a game that we are still all playing because, let's be honest, we got to get those Korok seeds. We got to go explore the depths. We've got to go do everything that there's always something new in the world of Hyrule. And man, Tears of the Kingdom, I'm still playing it, man. It's so good.
Yeah, it's incredible. It is it's my current game of the year. I'll say that.
I was gonna come on the show and say that, like, it's right now it's my game of the year. It's so good.
Most listeners know I always come prepared with a lot of notes. I have nothing written down for Tears of the Kingdom. I think I could just talk about this game for a really long time at this point. My Switch ticker says I'm at 65 hours, so that's probably closer to 60 in all fairness. I am right at the end of the game. Like I can go beat Ganon if I want to, I think. But of course, I'm not going to quite do that yet. I've got lots to explore. Right. The depths. I want to talk about that. I want to settle in on that for a little bit because I didn't talk about it a whole lot or maybe at all last episode. I can't remember. Maybe I hadn't gone down there much, or when I did, I was like, oh, dark and scary. Peace out. See ya. But the layers literally in the map, the Sky Islands, the main traditional map, and then the depths all laid on. It's some of the way that they use those three layers are incredible. Just the juxtaposition of the light and the darkness, like it's almost like washed out. It's so bright in the Sky Islands sometimes. It's kind of a washed out looking game in general as far as the color palette and stuff. But then you get in those Sky Islands and it's almost like but then in the depths, like you can't see a rock surface 3 feet in front of you, or you see like maybe the silhouette of it. You can tell, like, I think that's land I can walk on, that kind of thing, because it's pitch black unless you toss out some bright bloom seeds. And just the sense of discovery, I think, I know it existed in Breath of the Wild, but it just seems so much greater.
Seems way better here. Yeah, 100%.
Everything is very worth it. I may have said this last time, I don't remember, but I have not gone into a shrine and exited without finishing it.
Yep.
I did that a bunch in Breath of the Wild. I'm like, I don't understand what's going on here. I'm
Same
bouncing
here.
off this puzzle. I've completed every single shrine I've gone to because they're just stinking well designed, I think.
Yep. Well, just the way the game is designed. I mean, there's so many ways to tackle just one puzzle. And a lot of times I find myself going, I don't think that's how I was supposed to do it, but it worked. So I'm going to go with it. And it's just really, I think that's what blows my mind the most is how busted open, so to speak, this game is. And Nintendo's like, have your way with it. Just do whatever you want. Have fun. If you can figure it out, cool. That's it. It's like I haven't played a game that does what this game does quite like it. It just blows my mind in so many ways.
Yeah, the story, in my opinion, is way more intriguing and gripping than the first one. I've gone around and gotten all the glyphs and all the memories. So have you done that, Logan?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's awesome when you kind of have all those laid out and you understand kind of what's happening a little bit more. I want to say something that's kind of half spoilery and half not. I mean, everyone knows like you get a Master Sword in the game. Like that's not a spoiler, I guess, to talk about that in Zelda. But the way you get the Master Sword is again, I'm trying not to be hyperbolic. It's one of the best things I've ever done in a video game ever.
Yeah.
I can't. Well, it's incredible.
And not only that, there's so much meaning behind that sword now. In this game.
Yes.
And again, no spoilers. We'll get to it when we do. We'll inevitably do a whole episode on this game. But just they've really kind of outdone themselves. When I played Breath of the Wild and finished it, I was like, how are they going to outdo this? And every time I play Tears of the Kingdom, I'm like, they're doing it. They've done it. And I keep finding myself playing this game and going, this is just a fun game to exist in, to play, to enjoy. Sometimes I'm just riding around Hyrule on my horse and I'm enjoying it. And it's wild, dude.
I don't know. I haven't heard it, but I think that people that held Breath of the Wild as like the best game ever, I think they're like, oh no, this game completely trumps Breath.
Yeah.
And like that's saying something. It's just fantastic. The game design is so well thought out. I was talking about it with a coworker today and juxtaposing it to Forbidden West, Horizon Forbidden West, and how Aloy will give you the solution to a puzzle after like 60 seconds or whatever. Yeah. And I was like, it's like, yeah, there's a place for that type of game, you know, but like, it's not going to be winning any like design awards, you know, compared to Tears of the Kingdom over here. Like it's just, it's like night and day.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think where else to go here. That isn't spoilery. It's just there again. It's the Sky Islands and the depths. I mentioned last episode about like this game could be. And I wasn't levying this, but I was like, it could be say that it's sort of like DLC a little bit.
Sure.
That I almost regret saying that. I didn't believe that, but I almost regret even mentioning it now. Because, like I said, the depths. To the depths are just they're crazy. Like there's so many layers to it and so many ways, so many secrets. And like I've discovered like the light trees you have to turn on to get the lights on in the depths. Like I've done like like most of them in the Southwest and like that's it. Like I got so many more to do and I want to do them all.
So I want to bring this up. And so I'm going to have to mark this on the timer thing as like spoiler territory. So I'll mark it for like, what is this going to be? Minute 30 on the uncut and whatever it's going to be on on the regular thing. I'll make some edits in post. So I'm going to we're going to spoil some stuff here and talk about kind of the depths and that stuff and how it relates to other things here in a little bit. So if you don't want this spoiled, I'll put timestamps in here if you're listening on Patreon or even if you're listening over on YouTube or public feeds. And so the spoiler territory begins now. You'll see a spoiler tag at the end that shows like, hey, you can continue listening here. Have you figured out what the key is between those light roots and the stuff
and shrines?
Yes,
they're the same.
Oh my dude, when I figured that out, I was like, oh my gosh, this is so stinking smart. Like,
exactly.
And it helps you navigate the depths even more. And I'm just like, this is so dang brilliant. Like, what the heck?
Yeah, or inversely find shrines on the surface.
Yes. It's just, I'm like, Nintendo, you... I'm at a loss for words.
I'm going to say one more spoilery thing, and this isn't. Let me think. Hold on. I'm trying to think if this was a side quest or not. I don't think it was. There's a thing you have to do. It does this a bunch, but basically you start on the ground, and it's like, hey, go up to the sky island right above, and then you'll be up at the sky island, and then you're like, you dive down through the ground, down into the depths, and like the bottom floor of this like temple, for lack of a better word. It's not a temple, but like not a Zelda temple, but this, labyrinth or whatever. There's like this dungeon you have to discover or, explore. And they use, like, again, that's why I'm like, the layers are so good. So again, this is all kind of spoilery stuff still. That's why I mention it here. I got to stop because I need to get into a spoilery conversation about this game. But I'm loving it. I can't believe it. It's beyond everything. I had no hopes for this game. I was like, okay, I'll check it out. I liked Breath of the Wild enough, but I don't think I'm going to love it. And I'm loving it. It's slapping me upside the head with how good it is.
Yeah.
So this game will certainly be hard to beat.
Yeah.
For Game of the Year. I'm not calling it now. I mean, I got my beloved Spider-Man 2 is coming out right around the corner. We got that date. We'll talk about it later. Oh boy, Tears of the Kingdom is masterclass, bro. That's all I can say.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm thoroughly impressed with it every single time I play it. And it's been funny because I had some initial complaints about the game when I first started playing that. And every single time I play it, they just disappear one by one. One of the issues I had was like how much certain things cost. But I just did something earlier today and I'm like, oh, that's why that was that way. But now it's a thing that does a thing with the thing. I'm being intentionally vague so people don't understand what I'm talking about. Or some people who probably will understand what I'm talking about. But I'm just like, oh, this just makes sense now. They weren't trying to intentionally screw me over or make me mad. It had an actual reason within the world. And when I figured it out, it just made sense. I mean, I still wish the game was on some better hardware so it ran a little bit better, but it's not Pokemon Scarlet Violet levels of bad in terms of performance. It still runs really well and it plays really well. Dude, I did a Lionel fight the other day for the first time and I'm like, this is just like fighting something in Elden Ring, and it feels so good. I took the thing down my first try because I'm like, excellent. I've platinumed Elden Ring, you fool. Like I can take you, and it just it's a great game, dude. Again, it goes back to what we said earlier. This is my game of the year for right now. We'll see if anything can beat it because Spider-Man and Starfield are on their way. But dude, what an amazing game.
Yeah. And last thing I'll say, continued shout out to the ability Ultra Hand.
Yes.
And all the Zonai parts and pieces are just...
Yep.
That's really great. All the creativity that's going into it. That it's just great building blocks for the sandbox. So just special shout out to that. I wanted to say that again.
Man, what a game.
That's all I've got. Moving on to kind of some blending in TRG kids. They are of course still playing Tears of the Kingdom and loving it. I was watching my son play in the depths, and he found a piece of gear, like a headset thing that I didn't find, and I know I was searching in that area. Like, how did you find? Like, where was that?
Did he find did he find the Apple Vision Pro? Is that what he found down there?
Yes, he found it, and it was like 3,500 rupees. No, so they're still loving Tears of the Kingdom. And then last one for TRG kids, I want to say real quick is mainly Ava May. My middle daughter, she got into Story of Seasons, Friends of Mineral Town, which is a farming life sim game. Okay. And I wanted to shout out Amanda Taylor in the Dear Critics Fantasy League, who turned me onto this game, period, to even let me know what it was. And, it's one of those things where, like, she drafted the game and we're like, what is this? We don't know what this is. And we all learned, and it scored pretty well. And I saw it on PS Plus for free, and I downloaded it, and my daughter's loving it. So nice. She's giving Story of Seasons, Friends of Mineral Town a thumbs up. And then lastly, before I hand it over to you, Logan, of course, got back into Beat Saber. They dropped that free upgrade for PSVR 2. So got that. Got a few Imagine Dragons songs because my daughter Layla loves Imagine Dragons. And downloaded those. Good bops. Beat Saber is a classic. It's a of course a must-have for any VR headset. If you don't have Beat Saber and you have a VR headset, what are you doing with your life? Get it. It's incredible. But yeah, that's what I've been playing. Really, I've only been playing Tears of the Kingdom with like 1% Beat Saber, basically.
I every time I hear you talk about Beat Saber, it just makes me want to hook up my PSVR on my PS4 and play it on there, because I miss that game a lot. That game is really fun.
It's a great workout too, obviously.
Yes, absolutely. Well, as far as what I've been playing, I've been bouncing around between a lot of games, not just Tears of the Kingdom, because on the same day, early access for Diablo 4 dropped, Street Fighter 6 dropped, and I'm like, how am I going to spend my time between these two games and Tears of the Kingdom and finish Trails of Cold Steel? I don't know how I'm going to do it. And so me and my wife, we played Diablo 3 a ton together. We loved the local co-op thing. We love just building out our characters. I got the platinum trophy for it. We got her almost there for that game. And when this was coming out, of course, my wife, she's not up to date with games like I am. She typically has to rely on me. So I told her, I was like, hey, Diablo 4 is coming out. Do you want it? She's like, does it have local co-op? And I'm like, ooh, I don't know. Did they take that out? I looked it up and I'm like, it's there. And she's like, get it. I'm like, okay, cool. So we got it. We got the early access thing. We started playing that Thursday when it, we didn't start playing that Thursday because we couldn't get in on console because it didn't work. So we started playing the following day, and man, so I'll say this. There's a few things I actually have to say about it. First of all, we're really enjoying the game. It's like Diablo 3, but way better in a couple different ways. We're liking our classes we picked. I rolled a druid. She rolled a sorcerer. We're just wrecking shop with things. And when the game runs, it runs really well. There's been a few issues where, because it's always online, I'll be running somewhere, it'll load in a new area and it'll shoot me back like several feet. And I'm like, okay, that's weird. So it has hiccups like that. There's one time where we were running through the area and we got stuck just on the ground because the other area hadn't loaded in, because I guess the servers were weird. But when the game runs and you're just playing away at it, it's a good time. It really is. It's a lot of fun. I don't particularly care for the more realistic depiction of a lot of stuff, because I'm like, this is just really gross in some things, and it's just not up. It's just not my kind of thing. It's noticeably way darker than Diablo 3. Not like lighting or so, just the story, the tone, Lilith, and what she's all about. It's a dark game. So if you don't like spiritually dark stuff, or just that kind of theme in general, or just realistic looking things, probably skip this one, because it is, just the opening cinematic, I almost had to skip it because I'm like, this is way too intense even for me. And I have a pretty high threshold on some of that stuff.
Interesting.
But my main issue with this game, there's two main issues I have with this game. One is, let me preface it with this. The launch of this game is significantly better than Diablo 3. I think with Diablo 3, there was a whole week where no one could play because of the servers.
Yeah, I was about to say, just from an outsider who hasn't played it looking in, I saw all the hiccups on launch day, and I'm like,
Yep.
this is typical. And like, and I heard essentially nothing really since. It sounds like a really successful launch, all things told.
Well, it still has some server issues. Even then, there's times where I think me and my wife, we went to go play it Saturday in the afternoon, and you couldn't log in at all. You'd be stuck at like game pending, like just a wheel, and they didn't fix that until several hours later, well into the night. And we're like, well, there goes our plans for Saturday. And they've just had momentary hiccups of that sort of thing happening, and it's just, for me, it's kind of annoying. And it still happened all this week, to where I would say, look, if you're wanting to get this game and you haven't gotten it yet, maybe wait a few more weeks so they can kind of smooth out the servers a little bit more.
Yeah.
But I mean, especially this one dude, I mean, right now there's a competition going in the game where the first, I think it's 100 players, or maybe it's 1,000 players that reach level 100 on hardcore, get their names like etched in on this Lilith statue that Blizzard's doing. And the first guy that got it, after what, 80 or so hours or whatever, the game disconnected him and just deleted his character.
Deleted it.
Yeah, completely gone. And so there's still, Blizzard's like, we're still going to put you on the statue. But it's just like, dude, that's the kind of stuff I'm talking about here, where it's like, maybe you guys want to wait a little bit.
Yeah,
because
I agree with you, and I hear you. I just think, like, in the grand scheme of like a game this size, like a big quote unquote live service online, whatever you want to call it, game, like this seems like not bad.
Oh yeah, no, like I said, it's drastically different and way better than what it was, or than what Diablo 3 was when it launched.
Yeah, and unless you're like you just can't wait, you're an Uber fan or whatever. I think most people know to give it a month, you know, that sort of thing for these types of games. Like, when I don't know what's a good example. Like when Destiny, when Bungie launches, Destiny 3 or Marathon or whatever. Like, the first week's probably gonna be cruddy. That's just how it goes.
Yeah. But I will say this, when you are playing it, it's a lot of fun. It's really solid, really good, just mechanically sound, really good. Those are the hiccups that I mentioned where we get stuck somewhere and then it loads in, is literally the only issues that we've encountered.
Yeah, I bet they'll patch that out by next week. I bet
it's just the server stuff. But considering like everyone and their grandma's playing this game, basically, it is pretty impressive for how well it does run. The only other thing I will knock a little bit, and we don't really need to spend a whole lot of time on this, is it does annoy me a little bit that I spent $80 on the game, right? Or maybe it was 90 or something, whatever it was for the deluxe edition. And I go into the shop and see the cosmetic stuff is anywhere ranging between $15 to $30. And it's like, dudes, that's just not cool in my opinion. Granted, it's a game where you're going to get a crap ton of loot to begin with, so it kind of doesn't really matter. But at the same time, I'm just like, I can't really.
Yeah, to me, like I hear you. To me, that stuff is like they have to have it out there for the people that will bite. But like for me, especially if you can earn it in game, like, I'm fine staying away from that. Like even if it's there. But
it's just all that stuff to be aware of it. Again, surprisingly good launch. I saw that they tweeted earlier today that they were having like a company-wide barbecue because of how well the release went and stuff. I was like, you know what? You guys, honestly, you've earned that. That's really cool. I like seeing that you guys are able to kind of relax a little bit and kind of take a load off.
So just kind of, I know you were kind of talking about a bunch of auxiliary things, but like the moment-to-moment gameplay, you think is superior to Diablo 3 maybe? Okay.
Oh, yeah. And there's oh my gosh. So me and my wife, we're close to level 40 now, and the majority, we haven't even done Act 2 yet. So we've done a lot of there's a lot of stuff to do, and man, we're also playing on World Tier 2 for those that are curious. So we didn't do the easy mode. We went to level up because we want to get into World Tier 3 and then get into 4 and then get into that stuff. Get where the real good loot is. But yeah, again, I don't mean to poo-poo on this game and make it paint it like it's a bad or anything like that. It is a really good game, and me and my wife are looking forward to playing it and hopefully platinuming it. But we'll see, because we're all gonna. By the time we're done with the game officially, we're gonna have a character made for every class. So, But I've talked enough. I do want to mention briefly, I am reaching the end of Trails of Cold Steel 1. I'm hoping to finish that by the time this episode goes live on public feeds, because I will start streaming Trails of Cold Steel 2 the day that this episode releases over on our YouTube channel, because Twitch is just a dumb company that makes dumb decisions. So I'll be streaming on YouTube. But yeah, so I'll be putting a video together for that, detailing all my thoughts. One thing I do want to highlight is one of the main antagonists in this game. His name is C. Just the letter C. Really, just a really good antagonist. It's rare, not rare, but it's not often that we get a good antagonist in a game that just like, man, all around really cool character, really cool design, really fun to fight, despite the fact that it's kind of hard. Just really well done. Easily one of my favorite antagonists in the series. But other than that, hopefully I will finish it, closing in, I think, across the 60-hour mark the other night. So hopefully we'll finish that, and then I'll be able to talk more about it later. But something we can talk about quite a bit right now is Summer Game Fest, dude. Oh my Lanta. Again, hats off to Jeff Keighley, dude. I felt overall this was a good. I enjoyed watching this.
Yeah, that's how I wanted to get your kind of overall take first and foremost. Yeah, I agree. This is okay. So we just came off the PlayStation Showcase last episode, and I think overall there was a lot of disappointment in the gaming sphere off of that. And I came on and I was like, yeah, I mean, for me, it was a pretty good show. Like, they had a lot of Mikey games. I get the disappointment. I get the lack of first party Sony games. And then here we are at Summer Games Fest. And I feel like it's kind of the same thing where, like, I think a lot of the populace are like, oh, so didn't really like it. I'm like, well, there's plenty of good stuff here for me. I mean,
yeah.
To roll into this point that I want to make immediately is that I think what we're seeing is that we've been spoiled with showcases from the past that have gone above and beyond, and those days are over, like, for real. Yeah. Because there just aren't as many games being made of that caliber, the megaton caliber that you're expecting, the Uncharteds, the Final Fantasies, the Starfields, all like those big boys. There's just not as many of them being made. So how can they all be at the PlayStation Showcase and Summer Games Fest and Xbox and Game Awards in December? Like that's not possible. There's not as many games to go around. So I think we, as the gaming populace, we need to definitely start kind of resetting our expectations for what's going to be at these kind of shows, you know.
So would you say, Micah, we need to heed the words of Kratos?
Keep your expectations low, boy, and you will never be disappointed.
Where we keep our expectations low and we'll never be disappointed, like I always say.
Yeah, you have been on that train for quite a while. But yeah, so with that said, I think this is like a solid B or something. Around the same thing that I would grade the PlayStation Showcase, about a B or so, B minus maybe. Well, what do you think?
I'd give it an A, to be honest.
Think so? Okay.
And this is just me. I will go so far as to say I loved watching this. I went in knowing, like, I don't know what's going to be here, right? I saw Second Dinner's logo. I'm like, cool, Ben Brode's probably going to show up, which he did in his goofy, charismatic self, and I loved it. But I'm like, other than that, I don't know what I'm going to see, so I'm gonna go in for the ride. And I gotta say, dude, I walked away going, that was a good time. There was definitely some low points, obviously, but I felt like the high stuff really just kind of overshadowed it. I'm like, I had fun.
Definitely.
Again, hands out. Hats off to Jeff Keighley, dude. Seriously, I know Jeff Keighley's probably never going to hear this, but really good job. That was a really good showcase. I enjoyed myself.
Well, just the fact that he does this like every 5 to 6 months, he has this rhythm, this beat. He's like, showcase, or Game Awards, whatever the heck you want, like same thing. Right. So, okay, let's get into it. Enough of that. They closed out the show with the first real look at Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. We got a gameplay trailer. It's coming out early 2024, and they said they wanted you to know it's on two discs. On 2 discs. We're going back to PlayStation 1 days, baby. Multiple discs.
God, dude, when I saw 2 discs, I was like, give it to me. That's Ooh, this is going to be a beefy game.
I love that they toss that up on there with the date. It's just like on 2 discs. That's such a cool like Final Fantasy thing. I don't know why. Like that doesn't really matter. That's actually a bad thing. Like the file size is going to be enormous.
It's going to be enormous. Yeah.
Like, but I love that they advertise that as like a huge like positive, and fans. I think they ate it up.
Yeah. Well, I think it goes to show us like, dude, because we were wondering, after we finished the first remake, where's the second one going to pick up? Where's it going to end? And I gotta say, after watching that gameplay trailer, I'm like, dude, they're going pretty far into 7 if they're getting to some of the things that I'm seeing.
Yeah.
So I can understand why it's probably going to be 2 discs. It's going to be a massive, massive game.
Yeah,
and it looks great.
They showed. So what they showed is basically the open world, like big time open world look. A lot of combat. You heard a lot of dialogue lines from all the characters. A lot of cool new Sephiroth stuff. It was just a great trailer.
Yeah.
And the one disappointment I would say, and I don't even know that it's going to be in Rebirth, but there's no golden saucer. I didn't see any golden saucer or anything, but maybe they're saving it.
I'm wondering if they're saving that, because that might be a reason why the game's going to be a bigger file size, because maybe they expanded the golden saucer.
Well, they showed like the Chocobo farm, which is right outside Midgar, and I think pretty close to the gold saucer, if I'm not mistaken. But anyway, they showed lots of neat stuff, locations that you would recognize, and early 2024. So we're thinking like, I don't know, February, March, something like that, I suppose.
Yeah, maybe.
Any final thoughts on Final Fantasy VII Rebirth?
Just a heck of a way to end the show, man. Just great trailer. If you guys
quit. Sorry. Go ahead. Sorry.
I was just going to say, if any of the listeners, I'm going to make it a point. I'm going to write a note for myself to put links to all these trailers in the show notes. Man, if y'all haven't seen this by now, please go watch it. Really cool trailer.
Well, I was just going to say 2/3 of the way through the show, Jeff, they showed the like a follow-up trailer for Final Fantasy VII Ever Crisis, the mobile game. And then after that, Jeff was the camera's on him, was like, that's not all the final, or something like that. Like, that's not all the Final Fantasy VII. It's like, we've got this, what was it, DoorDash?
It's like DoorDash, yeah.
Thing. Yeah. And so everyone was like, oh. But so, of course, he was just hamming it up because he knew he had the goods.
Dude,
later
what a
on
showman Jeff Keighley is. What a showman.
Yeah, he knows, he has his finger on the pulse of like what the expectations are of fans for sure, like up to the minute almost.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on. Brian Intihar, creative director at Insomniac Games, rolled out on stage with Jeff and showed us, didn't show us really anything of Spider-Man 2 except for some artwork, the cover art of the game, and they gave us the date, October 20th. With pre-orders starting June 16th. They got the whole collector's edition with the Venom statue. They showed the steelbook cover art with Venom.
I'm going to put an image of that up on YouTube so y'all can look at it and just bask in its glory.
Yeah, I can't imagine a more hyped 5 minutes of the show that didn't show any video gameplay or any video of anything really.
Yeah. But you know what it did show us, Micah? Gave us our first look at Venom.
Yes.
Sort of in the game, but not in the game. It was in like some key art stuff, but dude.
Yeah, that steelbook.
They did my boy right.
Do they have the steelbook in just like the standard deluxe edition without getting the collector's edition?
I don't know for sure. That's something I have to look up later.
I would like to have that, even though I have a digital PS5. But anyway, that's Spider-Man. So we'll get there in just a second about the date. But it is a little bit interesting that they cleared out of the way of Starfield. I wasn't sure if that was going to happen or not. Yeah, but they did. They get Starfield will have room to breathe, which is great in my opinion because I want to play both.
Yep, so. I do too. So again, I was on the show. I was like, man, it'd be kind of cool if they put them like right next to each other on the release date thing.
Boy. But overall, there is another game that Spider-Man will interfere with, but we'll get there a little bit later in the show. Jeff opened up the show with a really delightful surprise. Ubisoft, of all people, came out and they showed the 2D version of this all-new Prince of Persia game called Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown. It's coming out for all platforms, last gen and current gen PC, January 18th next year. It's a all-new 2D Prince of Persia, and it looks great.
Yeah, dude. I was surprised because when it first showed it and we started watching, I was like, dude, are they finally bringing back Prince of Persia? And then I'm watching, I'm like, this is Prince of Persia.
It was you that said it immediately, I think.
Yeah,
like
because I was like,
Persia.
dude, this looks just like Prince of Persia.
Yeah, and then Ubisoft logo came on, and yeah,
I was like, dude, I gotta say, this game is probably, I'm looking through some of the other games that we have up on our list here. This was probably one of my top 3 favorite things shown because I love Prince of Persia. I played the crap out of the Sands of Time, Warrior Within, that remake they did on 360 that I personally really liked. Although I think people didn't really care for it. I thought it was pretty cool. And man, I've been waiting for them to bring back Prince of Persia, and they're doing it with this, and it looks great, man. The combat looks great. The platforming looks great. The abilities have some cool things that kind of work together. I can't wait to get my hands on this personally. This game looks great.
Yeah, and I love the fact that it's like announced and boom, we got you an exact date, January 18th, not too long of a wait. This isn't a long lead time. Yeah, that's very cool.
And I got to say, I think January is the perfect time because we're going to be coming off after Christmas. There's going to be a little bit of that lull there before some of these other games start coming out. Perfect time to check this game out.
Yeah, and it was a show opener. So if that tells you anything of the quality that might be here, or at least what Jeff is seeing in it, I'll put it that way.
Yeah.
So yeah, A Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown. All right, next up, this was staying in the realm of 2D and old school IP. Sega rolls out Sonic Superstars, which again, kind of the same thing I said on the last game. Brand new 2D Sonic game for all platforms, coming out fall this year, fall 2023. And this game looks great.
Yeah.
I said on the stream, it's like new Super Mario Bros, but Sonic.
Yeah, basically. Yeah. You can have 4 people playing at the same time.
Yeah, not the sprites and stuff. It's like new school, modern looking graphics. But old school sensibilities. You watch the trailer, you'll get the Sonic 1, 2, and 3 vibes immediately.
Yep.
But of course, it's got that new school flair to it as far as the looks. I like Sonic Mania. I think some people were kind of mixed on just watching this trailer. I think Adam Sutherland just straight slandered Sonic in the stream
very viciously.
So yeah,
I can't tell if he was serious or not. He usually says things just to get a rise out of me, and I was like, oh, all right, whatever.
No, I think he was actually hating on Sonic for real, which there's a lot of those people out there.
True,
but I'm not one of them. I like Sonic, and this game looked good. All right, moving on. Sam Lake came out on stage with Jeff and gave us a long gameplay demo for Alan Wake 2, which was promised. We got the trailer at the PlayStation showcase, and they say, hey, we're going to be at Game Awards or at the Summer Games Fest with a gameplay demo. And sure enough, here we are. It looked good. Showed a little section with Saga, the female protagonist you play as. And yeah, but what do you think there, Logan? Survival horror, Stab? What do you think?
I mean, I'm obviously going to be there for it day one because I don't know how I'm going to juggle this and Spider-Man 2, but I'll do my best. And I got to be honest, what I saw of the trailer, I was like, I feel like I've seen this already in the trailer that you guys showed. It's cool that we're seeing some gameplay, but I was more interested in hearing Sam Lake and Jeff Keighley talk about the game than I was actually watching this particular gameplay demo, just because I felt like that I'd already seen this from the trailer, which most of it was from there. But I was more interested in hearing Sam Lake talk about and describe the game because it sounds really fascinating to me. But the gameplay demo, I mean, it's just nice to see the game running smoothly too. So yeah, I'm here for it.
Yeah, and of course, this is the one I mentioned earlier. You said you're going to get it day one, Logan. You have to get it day one so you can beat it before Spider-Man coming out 3 days later.
Challenge accepted.
I mean, imagine it was like Brian Intihar and Sam Lake were both here present at Summer Games Fest, and they're like, "Bro,
what are you doing?
Your game's coming out right on top of mine."
Yep.
Sam Lake's probably looking at Brian like, "Dude, why'd you have to do that?"
I'm looking at the release date. I'm looking at my calendar thing on here. I probably just need to take that entire week off. To be honest, just to finish it.
I was telling my wife about this dilemma, about this 3-day difference in these two games that are basically like these games couldn't be any more up my alley, but both of them. So I don't think I've ever had this in my life for real. Like Alan Wake 2 and Spider-Man 2 could like just so close in proximity. Like I've never had two games I'm looking forward to so badly come out this close together in my life. Yeah. Like this is not like I could see both of these being my game of the year.
Yeah. It's 2023, man. It's a crazy year for gaming, dude.
Yeah. I truly don't know what I'm going to do. I'm probably, unfortunately, just going to wait on Alan Wake 2. Mm-hmm. There's no way I can beat that in 3 days because I am not waiting on Spider-Man. There just is no way. So Alan Wake will probably have to go to the back burner, and I'll play it after Halloween, I guess.
Yeah. Fair enough.
All right. Next up, Ed Boon. The lovely Ed Boon, the nicest guy in the biz, came out on stage. Man. Dude, he was the coolest customer on stage the whole time. Outside of maybe one other celebrity that we'll get to later.
I like the tease.
No, for real though, Ed Boon is such a genuinely nice guy, and Mortal Kombat is such a genuinely brutal game. It's such a weird juxtaposition, but he showed off incredible looking gameplay for Mortal Kombat 1, the reset,
something like that,
of this IP. It's all kind of, if you know what happened in MK11, some of this stuff makes sense. I didn't play it, Logan. I think you're a little bit more familiar, but fantastic looking gameplay demonstration. Went through all the gory fatalities and stuff, of course. But I like how they're weaving the narrative in with kind of just going into the fights and stuff. And you got the combo, or not the combo system, like you can call in kind of another character for the first time. Cameo fighter. Thank you. For the first time in the Mortal Kombat series history. Thoughts on what you saw there with Mortal Kombat 1?
I gotta say, I love me some fighting games. I played Mortal Kombat a lot growing up. That was the go-to next to Street Fighter. And the recent entries I have enjoyed, but I haven't enjoyed how just gory and violent they've gotten. And when they were showing the fatalities here, I was like, oh man, you could hear it on the Twitch stream when we were on the Twitch stream. We could hear it on the stream when we were in Discord. I was like, oh my gosh, this is so violent. But at the same time, I'm like, I want to pick this up and play it because the combat looks so buttery smooth. And I love the concept of the cameo fighters where Ed Boon said some of the cameo fighters are fighters that you can actually play as and some aren't. We're not going to, they didn't really reveal a whole lot in that regard, right. But I was just like, that's so cool because it makes me think of Marvel versus Capcom, how you could be fighting as Ryu and then calling Spider-Man to do an attack, or play as Wolverine and have Hulk come in and do like little things like that. I love that. I love how complex the combo system is going to get. I love kind of digging into that stuff. And it looks really good. Mechanically speaking, visually, it looks just off the walls, crazy. And man, I'm looking forward to kind of picking this one up and messing around with it for a little bit. I won't do the fatalities because that's too excessive for me. But it looks like mechanically from that perspective, dude, it looks like a rock solid game, as Mortal Kombat always is. So very excited to check this one out.
Yeah, so there again, September 19th for Mortal Kombat 1, just about a week and a half or so after Starfield. Jeez Louise. Yeah, dude. What do we even do? This is... I know we're beat a dead drum with this, Logan. Truly, this is ridiculous. 2020, people always talk about, oh man, 2008. There's a few other that like they hold as these like hallmark years for games. 2023 is going to obliterate them all.
I don't know how they're going to beat this year with gaming. And we're not even really halfway through, and we've gotten so many great games already.
Stop right now, and you'd have a great year.
Absolutely. So yeah, but let's not stop because we need Final Fantasy 16 and the rest.
Yeah, exactly. Let's see here. I guess I got to call this one out. I'm going to toss this one to you, Logan. Yeah. Sandland, new action game from Akira Toriyama, Dragon Ball. Go off on this one. What did you think of this action game?
So when they announced this, they were talking about, a storied franchise from one of, I think they said anime's like most famous artists. I'm like, dude, is this going to be are they going to do Dragon Quest 12? Because I would love to see that. But it was this game, and I was a little disappointed at first. But I was seeing the game in action, kind of what the game was about a little bit. I was like, this might be up my alley. This looks kind of good. It's basically Akira Toriyama's art is the entire thing. The game has like a nice, cool comic cell shaded anime look to it, which I'm trying to remember like the last time we got a good cell shaded looking type cartoon game. The only one I can think of is like Borderlands 3, and it looks really good. And from what we got from the trailer, it looks like you play as this character. You exist in this world where humans and demons live together. Now, I want to pause right there because I know some people will hear that and be like, well, wait a minute, what? Typically in Japanese culture, demon doesn't really mean like what we think over here in the States as a demon, right? Supernatural. Typically, demon in that culture is like a monster. So what we would think of like Bigfoot or a werewolf or something, that's what they kind of go for. If you want to go for what they actually see as like spiritual demons, those are called onis. A little bit of a different thing. So I don't think they're going for a spiritual evil aspect in that regard to this game here, but it looks like you play as a character who looks like a mechanic to a degree, does some tinkering stuff. They showed
like
a lot
a
of
tank or something.
Yeah, you're in a tank, you're in a mech, you're in some vehicles. So I mean, the gameplay has my mind kind of going a couple different places, but we didn't really get a whole lot. But what we got, I was like, I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued by this. I'll keep my eye on it for sure.
It was one of the ones. It was one of the reveals that you could tell Jeff was really excited about that didn't leak out. And this was one of the bigger announcements. Maybe not for everyone, but certainly it's going to have a wide reach. Yeah. Next game that would traditionally not be on my radar whatsoever. I didn't really have much of a pulse on the first game, but just the trailer looked absolutely sick for Warhammer 40K Space Marine 2, which it basically revealed that like we knew about the game, but it showed off their 3-player co-op, which basically, and I guess you know this if you played the first Space Marine, it's just like Gears of War basically, man.
Yeah.
And the trailer was just like, it was kind of nasty, man. I was like, dude, is this on console? Because, Warhammer is traditionally a PC IP. Right. I'm like, is this on console? And it was. I'm like, okay, might need to give this one a look.
Yeah, I was thoroughly loving this trailer. I love Gears of War. Again, I go way back with the Gears of War, playing that with my coworkers when I worked at GameStop. We all played Horde mode together. We played multiplayer. It's just a great time. So I have a lot of history with Gears of War. And seeing this, I'm like, dude, I've wanted to get into Warhammer 40K for a while, and I just don't know how or where to go. This seems like what'll be my first foray into it outside of bolt gun, but it looks awesome. You give me these cool looking dudes in armor with Gears of War style gameplay, some good sci-fi, some good locations, some good levels. I'm here for it, man. This was another one of the things where I'm like, this is on my radar now, 100%.
Yeah. Yeah, it's that big kind of armor with like the small heads that makes it like
so,
that Gears
of
War
goofy,
kind of style.
But it's so cool at the same time. I'm like,
Yeah, it's like when Jim Lee and Rob Liefeld broke off and made Image and like all that stuff they were doing for Image Comics way back in the day in the 90s. Like all that stuff looked like that. Anyway, all right, moving on. I'm going to toss this one to you as well, Logan. Mm-hmm. Will Arnett showed up and looked like he rolled out of bed, turned his turned his cell phone camera on, made a quick video because he forgot to do it the day before. Mm-hmm. And was like, oh yeah, Twisted Metal TV show. I'm in it with my buddy Anthony Mackie. Here's a clip. And they showed off a clip of Sweet Tooth beating the crap out of Anthony Mackie. Mm-hmm. So what'd you think of Twisted Metal, the TV show?
I gotta be honest, that initial clip, the teaser trailer thing we got a couple of weeks ago, I'm like, this looks dumb. After watching this, I genuinely laughed a couple times. And when they were singing, oh gosh, what were they singing at the end? I can't remember what it was, but they were singing some song together, and it stopped Sweet Tooth from beating the crap out of Anthony Mackie's thing, and they just had this like little banter back and forth. I'm like, okay, this is stupid, but
it is stupid.
I kind of want to watch it now just to see what else there is. It got me intrigued.
I'm gonna have to wait and see what my peers think of the first couple of episodes before I jump in.
I will say this again: it's not going to convince me to subscribe to Peacock, but it will convince me to use an email I have to get a free trial. And
there you go.
Give it
free
a peek
trial it up. Wait for all the episodes to drop. Free trial up and binge it in a week.
Yeah,
there you go. I think that's what everybody who's even slightly interested will be doing with the Twisted Metal TV show.
Yeah.
Moving on. Jeff Keighley loves his celebrities. And so he was like, yeah, we got a bunch of crazy crossovers. They just did like Exoprimal cross something. Street Fighter. Yeah. They're like, oh, that's not the craziest crossover. And so he brings out Nicolas Cage to the stage because he is now in Dead by Daylight. And Nicolas Cage proceeds to be like the coolest customer ever, like just fully embracing the moment he's on stage with all these gamer nerds. And like, it's exactly what we want from these E3 kind of shows. It brought the cringe. It brought the laughs. Everyone started chatting in the stream when Nick Cage came out. Like it was the most chatty time. It wasn't like, what's his name? Cyberpunk. Keanu Reeves. It wasn't like that. It wasn't like that. It wasn't that cool, but it was like, it's Nick Cage. That's pretty cool. I don't know. I liked it. What'd you think?
And he really wanted you to know, because he came out, he's like, well, you see, down to every last little detail, I want the player to know that we are fused. You and I are fused. It's just, first of all, let me say this. I freaking love Nick Cage. I don't care what anybody says. I get he's cringy. I get he does some really just off the wall roles and whatever. But dude, I love watching his movies. Some of his early movies are really stinking good, like Con Air, Snake Eyes, Face Off. Dude, take his face off. Gone in 60 Seconds. His mannerisms. I even liked him in Ghost Rider, to be completely honest. Just his mannerisms are so just. He's kind of like Jeff Goldblum, where you're like, are you high? Is your brain what? I don't know what's wrong with you, but I like listening to you and watching you. So I'm here. I'm here for it. And this might convince me to try Dead by Daylight, to be honest, So I got to play as Nick Cage, man. I got to be fused with Nick Cage,
There you go.
It's good stuff.
That was so good. Okay, we got to move on, Logan. Out of these last three, which one would you like to talk about?
Man, I got to say this. Anytime I see something tied to EA, I'm usually a little hesitant, right? But they finally showed some more gameplay of Immortals of Avium. Kind of heavily edited, but I think it was edited because of the time constraint of what they had for the show. But dude, you and I both said, like, we're getting some Bungie Halo vibes from this, and how the action is and how the set pieces are. And I got to say, I picked this up for the Fantasy League, and I'm feeling real good about it after seeing that. It looks like a lot of fun.
It was the set piece, I think, that was doing it. And just there's something about the way, this is a first-person game, kind of like BioShock, where you kind of have a hand that does like magic stuff, but like it's first-person perspective. But like the way that the camera was moving and the set pieces, I was like, it was just screaming Halo 3 at me, like Halo 3 specifically. I don't know. It was just, I thought that was a really weird comparison. And then you're like, dude, I'm glad I'm not the only one who thought that. I'm like, what? Like, what are the odds? Like, I thought that was so off the wall.
Yeah, no, but it looked like a lot of fun. And watching the person like use like a magic lasso thing to be like a grapple hook swinging around. I'm like, dude, I was literally doing this in Destiny 2 the other night with the strand ability. This looks really, really cool. And just shooting things, I'm really looking forward to this in July.
I agree. This is a dark horse. You might want to, a sleeper. And it's an EA Originals, which I think is pretty interesting. The whole moniker that It Takes Two came out of, and like some of these more like, I don't think EA owns these studios. They're publishing them, but they're kind of putting their seal of approval on them and kind of like some more original stories. So yeah, this one's got my attention as well. Immortals of Avium. That's coming out. Do we have a date for that, Logan?
I think it said like July 20th. Let me double check real quick while you maybe bring something else up.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and move on to the next one while you're checking that one. There were other things at Summer Games Fest, but those were the highlights that caught Logan and I's eye. They had another new trailer for Lies of P, a gameplay trailer for Banishers. All this stuff looked real good. But what you got for Immortals?
Sorry, a few things. It is July. Immortals of Avium is coming out July 20th for PlayStation 5, PC, and Xbox Series consoles. The other thing I do want to point out too, Lies of P looked good. Not only did we get some really cool looks at the game, but we got a demo that's on consoles right now that you can go check out.
That's right. I need to get that.
It's on my PS5 waiting for me, so I'm going to go try it after we finish recording here. Should be
Bingo.
good.
Thank you for reminding me about that, Logan.
Yeah.
Okay. There were other events. Summer Games Fest is like a banner that houses all these events, across multiple weeks. And so there were 2 other events that happened after Summer Games Fest. Devolver Digital had their thing. It wasn't a whole lot there. But then there's this showcase that Tim Schafer and the guys at Double Fine and I Am 8-Bit and a few other partners put on called Day of the Devs. And this is an event that has kind of been growing in popularity over the years. And they showed off about a dozen or so really, really cool looking games. I would encourage everyone to go watch the entire Day of the Devs presentation. Lots of great indie games in there, for real. But the one I want to highlight is the follow-up from Heart Machine to Hyper Light Drifter, Hyper Light Breaker, which is coming to early access later in 2023. And the creative director described it as an open world game where you never return to the same world twice. He said it was like a mixture of Breath of the Wild and roguelikes such as Dead Cells or Hades. And if you know what Hyper Light Drifter is, and you watch the trailer for Hyper Light Breaker, you're going to say, like, hold on, where's the connection? Because this looks like a completely different game, Logan.
Yeah, it does. It does.
This is a 3D action roguelike, open world roguelike.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not in that isometric view like Hyper Light Drifter was. It's just in the same world, according to the creators. So what'd you think of this trailer, man?
I thought it looked cool. I mean, again, if you've played Hyper Light Drifter, its pixelated art style was very vibrant, but kind of dark at times. I think he even mentioned it during the gameplay that Hyper Light Drifter, kind of what they're all about is, vibrant worlds that are just kind of desolate as well and just kind of somber. And man, they nailed it in this game. Love the color palette, love the look of it, love the action. And really, as soon as he mentioned it's kind of a mixture of Breath of the Wild and Dead Cells, I'm like, dude, say less. I'm here for this. I mean, I already really liked Hyper Light Drifter, but say less, man. I'm here for this. It looks really good, man. I'm ready to play it. I do want to point something out. This really has nothing to do with the video itself, because I thought the gameplay that they showed was really excellent. One of the comments though on the YouTube video was like, I don't know, man, looks like Biomutant to me. And I'm like, bruh, did we watch the same video? I've bought the deluxe edition of Biomutant. I have the statue sitting in my office. This looks nothing like Biomutant. Get out of here with that business, man.
Either a big troll or just a big idiot. I don't know.
Yeah. No, we can say that opinion is what it is. It's very dumb. But Hyper Light Breaker, dude, looks. I mean, I'm so glad that you kind of pointed this to me, because I keep forgetting that this game is in development. And so seeing it'll be in early access later on this year, I'm going to try and get into that as soon as I can, because I really did like Hyper Light Drifter. It was really hard, but I did like it a lot.
Well, the main thing is I wanted to comb through Day of the Devs and the Devolver show just to make sure there wasn't something we needed to put in the show, because it just happened all this afternoon as we're recording this. And the one that jumped out to me was Hyper Light Breaker. I was like, we need to talk about this. This could have been in Summer Games Fest, without batting an eye. So wanted to shout that out. And just Heart Machine is a great dev. Hyper Light Drifter is a great game. So go check it out if you haven't. Mm-hmm. All right. This was a very interesting piece that came out next, because this has been highly rumored to be at this Sunday's. Oh, actually, for public feeds, this will be yesterday. The Xbox Showcase is supposed to be here, but the Atlas West Instagram account spilled the beans accidentally. Persona 3 Reload is real.
Yep.
And Persona 5 Tactica? Is that what I'm seeing? So Logan, as our resident Persona lover, sound off about the leak, or the rumors, the leak. It's supposed to be an Xbox. It's just that it exists. What do you think?
Shout out to Iro Savant in the Discord server who tagged me in this, because people know I love me some JRPGs. People know I love Persona, and I've been Persona 3 is the only one I need to be careful there. Persona 3, really, Persona 1, 2, and 3 are the ones I haven't played, right? I have Persona 3 sitting on my PS5. I still need to play it, but this came out. I watched the trailer. It's funny, guys, video game developers, social media managers, when you put something out online, you can delete it. It's on the internet, but you already put it on the internet. It's there forever. And that thing got circulated so fast, man. And I saw it, watched the trailer. Oh my gosh, it looks so stinking good, dude. Now I shouldn't say I haven't played Persona 3 at all. I did play it a little bit on PS Vita, so I know enough to where I'm watching this and going, wow, okay, yeah, the dungeons look way different.
It looks great.
Oh, it looks so good. The menus look good. I mean, it still fits the themes of Persona 3. It still looks like it's going to be a dark, kind of story. Yeah. But one that has a lot of just connecting with the characters and helping them through their struggles, which is something I really love about the Persona series as a whole. Man, the gameplay looks good. Visually, it looks great. I can't wait, dude. I think calling it Persona 3 Reload is perfect because of just, the whole concept of the game and how you summon your personas fits right in with that theme. Reload, you're reloading this game up because it's going to be real different. And man, I can't wait. The Persona 5 Tactica thing, I couldn't care less about. It's like to me, I think it looked like a Fire Emblem sort of thing. It's going to be a mobile game. I'm like, it's not my wheelhouse.
Oh, it's a mobile game. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, I think I read that right. So I don't really care about that per se.
The other part that was part of the leak, and there again, this is rumored to be at the Xbox show, is that it's going to be on Game Pass day one. So coming to Xbox Series X and S and Xbox One and PC. That's all that's on the leak. I'd be shocked if it didn't come to PlayStation as well. But coming to Game Pass day one, which is the big get, I think. Yeah. A little bit of a spoiler for, if you didn't want that stuff for the Xbox Showcase to leak. Unfortunately, that happens. I would assume this would have been one of their bigger announcements, but even still, it's cool that it's happening, and it had been heavily rumored. So
yeah, absolutely.
I'm just not too surprising.
I'm just glad I know it exists. I see it and I'm like, perfect. That's all I need.
It wasn't just like the image leaked of like coming to Game Pass. It's like, no, here's the trailer. It was like everything.
Again, I cannot express how good it looks. It's like they took the engine from Persona 5 Royal, took Persona 3, put it in there, changed the dungeons. And I'm like, bro, this is what I wanted. This is what I wanted. It looks great. I cannot wait. There's a collector's edition. My wallet's going to be hurting. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
So great stuff.
Okay, moving on. Last thing, really quick, before we move into patron write-ins, and this is really kind of going to be old news by the time it hits public feeds, but Capcom announced that they're going to have a showcase, like I mentioned earlier in the show. They're going to have it Monday, June 12th at 6 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Central Time. And Logan, the question I want to bring to you is, do we get a new Monster Hunter World?
Okay, so it's funny you say that because I was on the Bull Sittin'. I got to make sure I say that carefully. Bull Sittin' podcast a few weeks ago, and we were talking about what are they going to show at these things? What can they show at them? And I didn't get a chance to say this because it was getting close to the end of that segment. But man, I think it's time for a new Monster Hunter World. We've had Monster Hunter Rise for a while now. It just got put on the current gen systems, aside from it got taken off of originally it was on the Nintendo Switch and PC for the longest time, but now it's on Xbox, it's on PlayStation. We've had that. The Sunbreak DLC will be coming to those consoles very shortly. We haven't had Monster Hunter World in a while, and they've been kind of quiet about it. I think we're going to get it, man. I think we're going to see a new Monster Hunter World. Probably won't come out this year. It might be a little ways away just because of how graphically intensive that looked. But I mean, who knows? I think it's time. I really think it's time.
You'd have to be an idiot to think that we're not getting another Monster Hunter World. Yeah. It is Capcom's best-selling game ever.
Yep.
Ever.
Which is wild.
Correct. And they're in their they're doing gangbusters right now. They keep doing this year fiscally was better than last year. Oh yep, this year is better than last year. Oh yep, this year is better. They said that 5 years in a row now. Yeah. So
Street Fighter 6 even just released to critical acclaim. I think it earned Famitsu's top score, and
Yeah.
Very few games get that. And
40.
I played a little bit of it, and gosh dang, is it buttery smooth. It's really good.
Yeah,
really
when you
good.
look at the Resident Evil franchise, the Monster Hunter franchise, the Street Fighter franchise, so they said there's going to be 36 minutes. I'm sure we're going to have Street Fighter 6 there. I'm sure we're going to have some Exo Primal stuff there. Again, it's kind of the unknown commodities. Are we going to get any Monster Hunter? Are we going to get a new remake announcement in the Resident Evil universe, or maybe another dinosaur universe?
I see what you're doing.
Or just anything else, new from Capcom. Do we see Pragmata finally? Anything like that? I don't know, but we'll see come Monday at the Capcom showcase.
Yeah, dude, again, what a year for gaming, man. And this right here, this whole package of Game Fest, Xbox Showcase, Capcom stuff, like this is the first time I felt like an E3 vibe sort of thing within gaming in a long time, dude. I'm here for it, dude. This is great.
Yeah,
great time.
100%. Yeah, the pandemic is in the past.
Yep. Absolutely. Thank goodness, too.
Yeah.
Oh, man. But something that's not in the past is our Patreon write-ins. We got to get into those. As always, you can write into the show over on patreon.com/thereformedgamers. Your support as low as $1 a month goes a long way in helping us continue to do what we do here at the show. And it helps us pick up some of these games that we want to talk about on the show. Unfortunately, it doesn't buy us any more time so we can play these games. No. But it does go a long way. First writing comes from John Hannon. He says, you are put in charge of developing the next generation console hardware and can prioritize two areas above all others. Could be software based, for an example, backwards compatibility, or hardware based, an example, SSD storage. What do you choose to prioritize and why? Micah, as soon as I read this, I knew exactly what I was going to pick. Man.
Yeah, it's a little bit. It's kind of a trick question, I feel like, because you're saying, you're developing the next generation console hardware. Well, then I'm going to focus on the hardware side and let the games figure that stuff out is kind of my answer. But I know it's sort of a trick. Like, well, yeah, software is always king. Yes, games are always king, and you do need to build your hardware with that in mind. But good hardware helps unlock certain things in games. I hear guys like Kojima say all the time, like, yeah, we're able to do this stuff because we're able to do Metal Gear Solid 2 because we couldn't do that on the PS1, all that, stuff like that. Yeah. So hardware allows for freedom in all sorts of avenues for creativity. I don't know what features I would focus on, like SSD storage, speed, backwards compatibility. I'm not sure what I would want to focus on, but if I'm thinking like, okay, PlayStation 6, Xbox Series Y, like, and I do mean Xbox Series WHY ?
Either way it works. I love it.
So what do I want those consoles to feature? Oh man, I don't know. I kind of said it in a recent episode. I'm always about controller upgrades and features and pushing the envelope there, which is why I love the DualSense. It's interesting. I wouldn't have thought, before I knew about the features of the PS5 and the Series X, I wouldn't have thought I wanted SSDs. But that's it. That's probably the big thing this gen. Like that's the difference. Yeah. It's those loading times. It's the experience. It's all that. Like that's big. And I wouldn't have thought that before they announced kind of all that stuff.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm not really good at predicting this kind of stuff, John. I want to see good. I want to see good iteration and innovation kind of mixed together is what I like seeing with hardware.
Man, nice. I was actually going to come in here and say, I'm going to focus on the software-based stuff because the backwards compatibility, that's what I want. We got to make the PS3 games finally work on PS6, But sitting here listening to you talk, I'm like, well, crap, if we focus on the hardware, then the other stuff kind of falls into line. So I think I'm going to switch to the hardware side of things because you're right. You work on the hardware stuff, that unlocks so many possibilities for everything else. It's just like a domino effect sort of thing. So yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. Definitely want to make the hardware better, and that allows you to do everything else. So, yeah, yeah, I think I'm gonna have to go with that, dude. You convinced my mind. You changed my mind.
Yeah.
Just in the course of like 2 minutes. It's
There
crazy,
you go.
but good stuff. Yeah, that's what we'll have to do. John, thank you for writing in. Let's go to Richard Morrow Keen's write in that says, now that we have had some time since the PlayStation Showcase, I have thought about it some more. No, it was not the A+ showcase I hoped for, but it was not a failure either. If I remember correctly, there were 2 showcases in 2021. I'd like to think this was a marketing move for the sake of not taking attention away from Spider-Man 2. My business mind likes to hope there will be another showcase after the release of Spider-Man 2. Do y'all think there's another showcase planned with bigger announcements, perhaps Uncharted? I don't know. I mean, I would like to think there is. That would make sense. You know, you do one shortly after the release of Spider-Man, maybe going into the new year, saying, hey, here's some things to look forward to in 2024. But I just don't know, just because of how secretive Sony has been overall. I don't really, it's kind of hard for me to really read them, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
What about you, Micah?
Yeah. I don't know either. To answer the question, obviously I don't know, but Colin Moriarty and others have said that they have heard that there is going to be another PlayStation showcase before the end of the year.
Okay.
So I believe him. I believe some of the other sources. I think maybe even Jeff Grubb said it as well. So I believe him for sure. Mm-hmm. The thing about PlayStation specifically was after the showcase a couple of weeks ago, and I think I even said it on the episode, was one of the thoughts is, okay, well, let's pump the brakes. Let's wait and see, like, if they have something at Summer Games Fest, and here we are. And so the only thing that would have shown up would have been Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Mm-hmm. That was here at Summer Games Fest. It may be like an indie game or something, but other than that. So if Rebirth had been at the PlayStation Showcase, like, would that change anything? Not really. Like, it's still coming in early 2024. It's still going to come on 2 discs. We just knew about it 2 weeks later.
Yeah.
You would think, considering we do not know what's coming after Spider-Man, save for Helldivers 2 and a nebulous Wolverine, we should have something else to let us know what's happening. We don't have any dates for Concord or Fair Games, those CG trailer live service games they showed in the showcase. So we better have something for, like, what's coming out in summer next year. Yeah. And I think part of it is Sony is leaning on the likes of the Final Fantasy VII Rebirths and the Final Fantasy 16s. Mm-hmm. They're like, these are like PlayStation games, basically. Like, why would we release a big Sony first party game around the time that Rebirth comes out? Why? They're not going to. That is a Sony first party game for all intents and purposes. Yeah. As far as how they're treating it marketing wise and release cadence wise. Right. So, I just don't know. I just don't know if there's really that many games in the pipeline to show off. Yeah. You know, their game, going back to what we said about, we're not gonna see Ghost of Tsushima 2 and the next game from Guerrilla and the next Naughty Dog game and the next thing from Media Molecule and whatever else, all in the same showcase. Those days are gone. Yeah. Unfortunately. So what I could hope for a new fall showcase would be, let's maybe see some Wolverine now that we know about it. Let's see some Wolverine. Let's see what either Naughty Dog or Guerrilla are up to. And then maybe one other surprise from first party, like an Astrobot or an Uncharted or a Bloodborne remake.
I was going to say, or a Blue Point. Like, what are they working on? That sort of thing.
Exactly. We got to temper a little bit more. So I only think we might have one in the fall, Richard, another showcase, simply because Colin Moriarty and those guys have said that that's in the rumor mill, like that they have heard that, yes, it is happening. Yeah. So, I think it's then likely that we'll probably get something, but Yeah, we'll have some better announcements, but you know, I wonder, like, well, what if they just had put them all together into one show? Wouldn't that have been the showcase that we as PlayStation fans would have wanted to see anyway? But maybe just whatever they're going to show in the fall just isn't ready. Yeah, and that's that. I don't know.
I would think it would be cool. You know, they released Spider-Man 2 in October. Let's say we go into November, maybe early December. You know, and they talk about the success of Spider-Man 2 because that game is going to obviously sell an insane amount of money, or not. Well, I mean, it's going to, they're going to make a lot of money. And they're going to sell a lot of copies,
right?
And they talk about some extra suits that are coming to the game, like they always did with Spider-Man 1. It seemed like pretty frequently they would be like, "Hey, here's a new suit coming to the game, and you can use it now." It's like, "Oh, cool."
Yeah.
They do stuff like that, and they're like, we're really enjoying this Marvel Spider-Man game, but we're also looking forward to expanding that Marvel universe with our games. Here's a first look at Wolverine. Perfect segue into it and to tie it into it. Will that happen? I have no idea. I'm just kind of wishful thinking at this point, but I think that would be a good way to spring off of Spider-Man and connect it to Wolverine that are in the same type of universe.
If you're barking up that tree, Logan, let's just go ahead and just go right into it. What if they're waiting on a showcase? They're waiting on Spider-Man 2 to come out because Wolverine is in Spider-Man 2 as a cameo at the very end. And like the worlds are linked. Yeah, I mean, I'm just throwing it out there. I mean, it's probably not true, but I don't know.
But why not?
Fun to think about.
Why not make your own Marvel gaming universe?
I don't know. Just a thought.
Dude, that would be wild.
But yeah, I'd say, going back to your question, Richard, I think there's like a 65-70% chance we'll get another PlayStation showcase before the end of the year, or a beefy State of Play or something like that.
I wish you hadn't put that thought in my head now, dude.
Yeah, I kind of regret even putting that out there too, because that's not going to happen.
I'm going back to like Web of Shadows when like the Venom symbiotes were going crazy and you had a Venomized Wolverine and you fight him as Spider-Man, bro.
I'm just thinking like, if like Kraven the Hunter is like, he's like about to get and then like Wolverine takes him down. Like just comes out somehow.
You hear the classic snick and he's like, "Get away from him, bub." And he comes in, it's like, Wolverine,
Anyway, wishful thinking. Wishful thinking.
Yeah, good times. All right, Richard, thank you for writing in. Final write-in coming in from Dorian Taylor. It says, after the mid-PlayStation showcase without much of a roadmap and being an Xbox fan who has stuck with them through the worst, I'm excited for the upcoming Xbox showcase, which by the time this episode releases will have already happened, so we'll know more then. They say new first party and updates on first party will be at the showcase with no purely CGI trailers. Xbox is cooking up some petty spaghetti over there, and I kind of love it. Clear messaging on what games are shown on, and no movie trailers. Thank goodness. There have been no social media posts telling fans to temper expectations like it's been said in years past. Could this be the year that Xbox finally starts to return to form? I'll take Phil's words to heart and say I won't believe it until the controller is in my hands, which is smart. Nonetheless, I'm looking forward to the show. Also, I'm a little nervous for the new Jim Ryan regime of PlayStation. I think we just got the last batch of Sean Layden era PS games. What say y'all? Micah, I'm going to let you start with this because I feel like I'm not going to be very nice here.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I'll be more positive, I think. If this isn't the year for Xbox to show out Dorian, the wait till next year has run out.
Yep.
Then I think if this isn't the year that they deliver the goods of all those acquisitions from 2018 and deliver the goods on all these studios that they have built over the years, then it's a little bit of a red flag, or a lot of bit of a red flag. With that said, I think they will deliver a really good show. I think it will be the quote unquote winner of the summer showcase season. Mm-hmm. And I think they'll have some good games. Now, I think like the PlayStation showcase, Xbox fans are going crazy thinking every game in development is going to be here or has a chance to be here. I think, and I'm going to go through kind of a few of what I think real quick. And so just so we can see, so the public feed can laugh at me on Monday how wrong I was. I think we're going to definitely have Hellblade 2. I think we're definitely going to have Fable because they teased it on their social media account already.
Yep.
I think we're going to have either Avowed or Outer Worlds 2 from Obsidian are going to be there. I think Outer Worlds 2 is further along in development than people think. I don't think we're going to get Perfect Dark, and I don't think we're going to get Everwild. I would bet like $10,000 we're not going to get either one of those games.
Whoa.
The question is, Logan, do we get Indiana Jones from Machine Games? I think that's the big question. I think that's the one where it could turn the showcase from a B+, A- to an A+. If Indiana Jones shows up in a meaningful way. What do you think? Now, Bethesda announced they were doing an Indiana Jones game in January of 2021. I went back and looked before we hit record. So, here we are about 2 years and some change later. Is it too early to see Indiana Jones there?
I don't know, man. I would think, you brought that up just now. I'm thinking, dude, you got the new movie coming out. People are thinking about Indiana Jones. This could be just a perfect timing to do it. And plus, did they say when they first announced it, did they say like, hey, here's a new Indiana Jones game? Did they mention it if it was in development or not?
No, they didn't say if it was in development. They said it was going to be a while before we saw it again. They did. I remember I wrote this is back when I was writing news for TRG website. And so I had a news write up for it, and I referenced that. And it just kind of, it's one that I think some fans are forgetting that exists. Machine Games, maker of Wolfenstein, is making an Indiana Jones game. What does that look like?
Yeah.
The other question mark, and I'll toss it to you for some further thoughts, is does id show up at all? I think that would be big if they showed up with some kind of new game. And do we see this rumored Halo Project Tatanka thing from that Certain Affinity is apparently developing? That is like some sort of new mode to Halo Infinite that is supposed to be a big deal. We might see that there. That's the end of my list of what I think, sort of predictions and stuff. But to answer Dorian's question, generally speaking, I think this is the one. I think if they don't, kind of sweep the floor with what PlayStation had in their showcase, there's a bit of a problem because they ought to have lots of stuff locked and loaded. So yeah.
Man, I'm just gonna echo what you said because I think you worded it much better. I don't know if that's grammatically correct. You just worded it way better than what I was gonna say because I was gonna be kind of mean as well. It's not really mean; it's just realistic. It's like they really need to kind of come out swinging here because, like you said, the wait till next year thing that we're done waiting. You got to show us the goods, and like I said, after the reviews for Redfall dropped, I hope that's the kick in the pants that they needed to kind of get their stuff together. And hopefully it is. And we see that. And I really hope that by the time this episode releases on public feeds, we're like, crap, we really should have waited to hold off the recording this episode because that was a crazy showcase. I really hope so. We've gotten comments on YouTube here and there, just how people think that we hate Xbox. I am constantly rooting for Xbox. I loved the 360. That's my favorite video game console. It was a great era of gaming. One of the best, if not the best, in my opinion. And I have been pining and hoping and waiting for Xbox to get to that level again. And I really hope that we start getting back to it, because if we don't, man, I'm going to be really bummed out. I'm going to be honest. I'm going to be really bummed out.
Yeah, no, they are poised to do it. And it's time for them to kind of really punch back. I know they're being snarky with a lot of this, no CGI, like, oh, look at all these great games coming to Xbox after the PlayStation, all that kind of stuff. Like, I kind of love to see it, man. Yeah. Like, let's get this competition back ramped up again. Let's start punching back. And to speak to your point about Jim Ryan's regime at PlayStation, I don't disagree that we might have seen the last batch from Sean Layden's era. I mean, that's certainly true, just based on time. But that's not to say that those types of Sean Layden, quote unquote, games aren't going to be produced by PlayStation anymore. Yeah. I just think that Sony, in a realistic world, looking at it financially, that they need some of these live service games to supplant the rising costs of the God of Wars and the Spider-Mans, like Sean Layden warned when he was in office at PlayStation. Mm-hmm. So I think that's just the world we're living in. We have to, the cost of these AAA games is going up. So we got to have different kind of revenue streams outside of just these big AAA budget games. And that's kind of what you're seeing with the Jim Ryan era. So yeah.
Anyway, Dorian, thank you for writing in. Dorian had another write-in about Final Fantasy VII and the 2 CD, the 2 disc thing earlier. And I forgot to bring it up, but he was just mentioning like how are our hard drives going to survive? And it's like, dude, I don't know.
Yeah, I've got that digital PS5, so it's going to be digital anyway. No 2 disc thing for me. Yeah. So yeah, I mean that thing's probably going to be like 150 plus.
It's going to be beefy.
Gigs.
It's going to be beefy.
Like just the soundtrack is going to be like 100.
Rip those of us who have well, I don't have this, but I'm just saying rip to those of you that have Call of Duty and Call of Duty Warzone on your hard drives and you're looking forward to Final Fantasy because it's like, bro, it's better start freeing up some space now, man. That's all I'm gonna say.
For sure.
Or upgrade your hard drive, one of the two.
Yeah, I saw that was it Western Digital has the new expansion storage for Series X and Series S now.
Yeah,
for like $80, I think, which is still not cheap, but we're getting there. So yeah, that's cool.
It's better. Yeah. Anyway, y'all, thank you for writing in to the show. With that being said, that brings this episode of TRG to a close, and we're going to start winding things down as we always do with a little bit of Reco, some things that we think are worth checking out. Micah, let's kick it off to you, man. I am kicking myself because of your Reco. It's like I should have checked this out already, but I haven't.
Yeah, this isn't this is an obvious Reco. And if you are like a fan, you've already said Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse is insanely good. Oh man, hold on. Okay. The art direction and the art alone. Like if this doesn't win an Oscar, I'm gonna be mad. It's okay. So let me give you an example. There's like one scene where like 2 characters are talking, and you get the shots where like you see one character and then you just shot to the other character. Mm-hmm. Like it's constantly within these shots, like changing not art style, but like the color palettes and like it's like every time it's like Gwen's talking and now back to so-and-so and now Gwen looks different this time and now the background for the other person is different. Like it's like they change it up every time just for the sake of it. And it's like a visual feast for the eyes. I could not believe what I was seeing. It's like they're blending all these different art styles into one thing. So like you got like the standard, the standard art style, like you see, Miles, and then you got like Insomniac Spider-Man PS4 looking like the PS4 model, mm-hmm. and then like this like Spider-Punk looking like a 2D comic book, all in the same shot, and it all blends and looks right. And brother, like I know you've seen Into the Spider-Verse, and like the kind of stuff I'm talking about to a little bit, and like. Their signatures. They take what they did in Into the Spider-Verse and like ramp it up to the nth degree with the art direction. It is insane, just visually, and that's that. And so there's that, and then like the story is so emotionally resonant. Like it goes to places that are like. It's not like too like overly mature, like you can't take your kids or anything like that. It's just this is really heavy stuff. It really layered and much more complex and much more characters in this compared to the first movie. And it feels like The Empire Strikes Back. Like it's really really good. I said this on Twitter afterwards. Not that this is the best movie I've ever seen, but I don't think I've ever seen a movie in my life that I've wanted to see immediately again so bad in my life.
Yeah.
It's just incredible. I don't know if I like it better than Into the Spider-Verse. With all that said,
yeah,
but it is right up there with it. Right up there with it. Incredible what they're doing with what Sony is doing with the Spider-Man property right now. It's almost like the MCU is looking at it and they're jealous. It's like it used to be kind of like the shoe was on the other foot. Like, oh yeah, I guess can we get Spider-Man into your MCU, Marvel? And they're like, yeah, come on. And now like Disney's looking at what they're doing with like the Tom Holland stuff, the Spider-Man games, the Spider-Verse trilogy, and it's like, bro, what? Like this is killer, dude. Man. Absolutely killer. I can't say enough good things about this movie.
You are not the only person I've seen saying very similar things about this game. Friend of the show and sometimes third chair Matt Millsap even said that it's the best Spider-Man movie. And I was like, dude, even better than No Way Home, because No Way Home was awesome. And he's like, just trust me on this. And I'm like, dang it. So, I was over here sighing and kind of grunting a little bit because I'm like, dang it, I might have to go to this crappy movie theater near me and go watch this movie and just try to enjoy it as best I can. It doesn't help either that the movie has Spider-Man 2099, Miguel O'Hara in it, and he's my favorite Spider-Man. So,
yeah,
I might have to go see it this weekend.
It's all great, man. I can't say enough good things about it.
Good times. Well, my recos are not nearly up to that caliber. Well, maybe the music one might be a little bit depending on your taste. But I do want to, again, Reco, mention that I'm streaming the Trails games over on this YouTube channel for TRG. Going to be doing some Marvel Snap, some Tears of the Kingdom 2 thrown in there periodically as well. So come on out. Hang out and chat, have some fun, and maybe get a look at these Trails games I've been talking about for so long, and maybe try to get an idea of like, okay, why is Logan really enjoying these games so much, and maybe learn a thing or two about Marvel Snap, about how to play it, and maybe get hooked on it. Just don't spend any money on it. Don't be like me. Don't be a whale. But yeah, it'll be a good time. It'll be a lot of fun. We'll have some fun over there. We'll stream Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday, starting at 9:30. In the morning and going till, I guess, whenever. I don't know. I mean, I'm going to be streaming a JRPG. There's going to be we're going to do some long play sessions because we have to. It requires it. My other reco, which is less of a time commitment and still on theme for those of us playing Tears of the Kingdom. I got on Spotify earlier and went to the release radar playlist that I check out every now and then. And I saw this song by Jeff Plays Guitar called The Legend of Zelda Argent Medley. And let me tell y'all something right now. If you love Legend of Zelda and you love metal, it is well worth listening to. It is, take the crunchy, just guttural strings of Doom, mix it with Legend of Zelda music, put them together. It's awesome. It's really, really good. Mike, I even listened to it and said it was pretty good. I can second this. I was just about to say super good. I had to check it out pre-show. Logan's like, hey, check this out. I'm like, I will check it out. And it was good. I had a stank face the entire time I was listening. I was like, oh yeah, you know how you get when you listen to good music. Definite Doom vibes. Yeah, the Doom cross Legend of Zelda is like, so good. So good. It's a crossover we didn't know we needed, but now I want it. That being said, those are things to check out. As always, if you like what we do here at TRG, you can support us financially over on Patreon. Support as low as $1 a month goes a long way. Gets you extra perks like early uncut access to episodes. If you go to the $5 tier, you get an extra episode of the show every month where we just kind of sit down and talk about random topics. I think this month's topic, we're going to be talking about, going to live music shows as we were growing up, and maybe a surprise topic as well. It's just kind of a more laid back conversational podcast. So if that's what you like getting into those conversations, maybe sharing some of your favorite stories relating to those topics, that is all on Patreon. As always, you can support us in a variety of other ways. You can subscribe to the YouTube channel. You can like the videos, share them as well. Leave a nice little comment down below as well. There's a lot of things we talked about in this episode, and there's things that we didn't. Maybe one of those things is something you want to talk about, so leave a comment over on YouTube. You can also check out our website, thereformedgamers.com. Follow us on Twitter. Join our TRG Discord, which I would highly recommend doing, because as more and more of these showcases pop up, we're going to be streaming them as a watch party into the Discord server and watching them together, which is always a good time. And you can join the voice channel. You can join the chat and interact with other members of the community. It's a really great time. Highly recommend that. But with that being said, again, I'm going to say this one more time before I end the show. What a time to be a gamer. What a time to be in video games. It is amazing. Just praise God that we get to enjoy this stuff, man. It's awesome. It's awesome. And with that being said, y'all, that is it for TRG. But be a deer. Keep it locked here. And we'll see you in the next episode. Thank you for listening to TRG. This show is fully supported over on patreon.com by our dear listeners. The following are our supporters at the producer level or higher, and we are thankful for their continued support that allows us to continue doing what we do here at TRG. Those people are Mr. Butts, David Matthews, Richard Marroquin, and Alan Z. Thank you again for your continued support over on patreon.com, where you can pledge your support to the show and get early uncut access to all of our episodes, behind the scenes, and more. Thank you for listening, and until next time, be a deer, keep it locked here. We'll see you in the next episode.